All right, guys, I'm back again tonight. McFly, whatever you want to call me, don't really care. So last week we talked about the Godfather trilogy. This week we're actually going to talk about Jaws. This is one of my all-time favorite movies. To be honest, it's a classic. It's one of Steven Spielberg's best films. This one was actually, I didn't realize this. It was based on a book by Peter Benchley. So what the movie is about, if you guys haven't seen this, which is kind of hard to believe if you haven't seen it, it's about this shark in Amity Island that's terrifying all these beachgoers. And you have the Sheriff Brady, who I'm trying to remember which town he's from. I think he's from New York. Amity Island is a fictional island. So Sheriff Brody comes, and this is when he first gets to Amity Island. And then this shark attack happens. And what it is it was this girl who, the night before, they were having a party, and she went out and she was swimming in the ocean. And that's when the killer shark first appeared. Is he got this teenage girl and killed her, and so one of the very beginning scenes is they're out there investigating it, and as they're looking for this girl, they find one of the guys at the very top of the hill. One of the other deputies starts blowing his whistle, and so they go over there. They find the arm of this girl. What they're trying to figure out is what it is that caused this. So they call in a marine biologist, Matt Hooper, who's played by Richard Dreyfuss. He comes in and he's investigating it with them. At the time, they have another shark attack. It was two actually at the same time. It was the best little boy, Pippin, the dog, who was out there playing fetch with his owner. And then you have Alex Kintner, who was out in the ocean with a raft, and his mom at the time was like, I don't want you going in there, and he just wanted a few more minutes, and so she let him go back in reluctantly. And when he went back in, he never came back out. And it wasn't until that people actually started seeing him thrashing around on his raft that they realized, oh my God, there's a killer shark out here. So then after the boy is killed, they realize this is a really big catastrophe and devastation to this island. So they have a meeting on all these fishermen that come together, and there's a reward for whoever catches the shark that killed the little kid. And when they're in the meeting, we meet our third main character, which is Quint, who was a war veteran on the USS Indianapolis back in World War II. Pretty sure that was pretty self-explanatory with World War II veteran. But anyway, so Quint, Hooper, and Sheriff Brody set out to sea to catch this shark. And before they do, there were some other fishermen that said that they caught a shark, but it was honestly it wasn't the right kind of shark. It was a tiger shark. It wasn't big enough to actually kill the kid. So they set out to find him again, and they find this boat tipped over. And it's because it was another guy who was trying to go out there and get the shark, but the shark attacked their boat. And it's one of the most famous scenes in the movie is Matt Hooper's down there and he finds the shark. He finds the shark's tooth inside of the boat, and he gets it out. And as soon as he gets it out, the head of the fisherman just swings out in the hole that the shark had hit. So it took me probably 5 times watching the movie. It took me about 5 times watching the movie to not jump every single time that head would pop out. Every now and then it'll get me, but not as hard as it used to. So after that, they set out to sea again because there was another catastrophe. Oh, so the other catastrophe that happened with that was they were. So was it right after? No, it was a couple days after Alex Kintner was killed by the shark. Sheriff Brody's kids were out on his boat with Sheriff Brody's sons. I can't remember their name because I guess they just weren't that important to the storyline. But they're out there on their boat, and the shark comes in. So what it was is so Sheriff Brody, I'm sidebarring a lot. I'm really sorry. I love the movie, and I forget little bits and pieces that are actually important. So what had happened was these two kids were playing a joke, and they made cardboard fins, and they were out in the ocean, they were snorkeling, and they were swimming around like they were sharks. So it created a huge panic, and so Sheriff Brody is shouting at everybody to get out of the ocean. And as he is, everybody's rushing out, and they have all these boats go out to where they think the sharks are, and it's these kids that pop up. So, sorry, my mom's texting me. Hi, Chewie. Hi, Leia. There, I got it. Anyway, back to Jaws. So while they're out there, they're distracted by the two kids. And it was almost like those two kids were working with the shark, because like the two kids distracted everybody from noticing that the shark was actually going into the bay area where his sons were. So then they have this lady who's yelling out shark in like the worst acting way possible. I'm going to pull the microphone back. She's like, shark! It's a shark! And it's like one of my least favorite parts in the movie is just hearing her yell that. Like, it is the absolute worst. So they're in the bay area, and the shark comes, and this weird fisherman who just like pops out of nowhere, he's like, hey, you kids okay over there? What are you kids doing? And it's just like, first of all, man, like, why are you so worried about these kids? You need to mind your own business and stay over in your boat and don't worry about what I'm doing on my boat. So then the shark comes and tips him off of his boat and then tips the kids off of their boat. And then he like gets the weird guy, and the shark like swims past the kids and like puts the sheriff's kid in shock. He was fine. They pulled him out of the water. He was all good. So it was after that then they were like, okay, we really need to do something because this was my kid, They were going to do something anyways. It wasn't just because it was his kid. It was just like, all right, it's getting out of control, especially with those kids like plotting with the shark. I legit think they were plotting with the shark. So they set out. They have air tanks. They've got like this kind of poison that Matt Hooper had that was supposed to like kill the shark. They just like throw a spear at it. And they had a shark tank, like the ones you see like on actual like Shark Week when they go down the shark cages. So they set out. They go to kill the shark. The shark like boops their boat, and like he boops it hard, and it causes the boat to start sinking. So as they're working on trying to get the water out and the boat to work, then the shark's like, cool, this is my chance. I'm going to get me some more food. And he goes up and he like wrecks the entire boat. And so, so before he goes and attacks the boat, they had Hooper in a shark cage. And they put him down there, and he had the spear, and that's when the shark was like, you guys are like trying to stab me. I'm not okay with this. So now I'm just going to eat you. So he gets like the shark. So the actual shark was a mechanical shark. But when it came to the scene, when you see the shark thrashing around on top of the shark cage, that was an actual shark that got stuck. So they used that in the film because they're like, actually, no, that works really well. So let's just leave this shark that's out of place, and we'll just let him thrash around and like wreck it. So he gets away, and oddly enough, the entire time, which is like 25 minutes, it might be a little less, but it's a long time for him to be underwater. And Brody and Quint are up there like fighting the shark off, and Hooper's just like in the water, just hiding. So that's when the shark is like, this is my boat now, and gets on top of it. He was like, look at me, Quint, I'm the captain now. This is my boat. Gets on it, rips it up, and then eats Quint. And he leaves, and he's like, all right, I'm going to finish eating Quint, and I'm going to come back for you, Sheriff. So Brody gets up on the mast, and he like gets a rifle, and he's like trying to aim for it. Because after he like ate Quint, he was trying to come back up. And so Brody like took an air tank and just shoved it in his mouth. And so the shark like went away because he thought he got something. But then he realized, oh no, it's just an air tank. I got to go back and get this guy. So he goes back, and Sheriff Brody is up on the mast, and he's got his gun loaded, and he's firing at him, and he keeps missing. And then he finally gets the shot, and the shark's head like explodes, and you can see him like sink down. And it's one of the coolest. And then all of a sudden, here comes marine biologist Matt Hooper, just like out of the water. He's like, oh, hey, we got him. Yay, let's go back to shore. So they go back. Everything's all good. No more shark. Until Jaws 2, when the second shark comes, which is actually one of the better. Jaws 2 is okay. I like it. I don't mind it. I'll watch it when it's on, but I don't know. I just remember watching it recently, and it was the scene. I hardly ever watched Jaws 2. So if you ever watch Jaws 2, it's actually on Amazon Prime, Jaws 1 through 4, because they decided to do 2 more terrible ones. There's a scene where there's this girl water skiing, and she's out there, and her mom is like driving the boat, and Jaws 2.0 comes up, and he boops the boat. Like, I legit, when I was watching it, I didn't mean to say it, but I actually said it out loud. I said, boop! It matched up perfectly somehow. Anyway, this one, like, was electrocuting people somehow. I don't remember how he did it. Yeah, Jaws 2 was okay. It only had Sheriff Brody and Matt Hooper in it because Quint, obviously he died in the first one. So I don't even know where I was going with it, putting the characters in there. It's the same people, just not Quint because he gone. But Jaws was made, the very first one, in 1975. And it set the highest bar for any future shark movies. Honestly, the only like shark movie that came close to being as good as Jaws was the most recent one, the Megalodon. I actually like that because when I was watching it in theaters, being a huge fan of Jaws and literally watching this movie over and over again, I could see so many nods to Jaws in this movie. And what they did was they did the exact same thing that Jaws did, was that they didn't show the shark the entire time. They showed it every now and then, but they only give you the silhouette, which is what Jaws did, and that's what they wanted to do, was they wanted to build the suspense of you have no idea what this shark looks like. All you see is a silhouette. You don't see the full thing. You only see little bits and pieces, and that's what Megalodon did, and that's what made them amazing. And the graphics were honestly actually really good. I liked them. The humor in it was actually pretty good. Like, my favorite part, if you're never going to see Megalodon or... Wow, I need water. Oh, my God. Okay, so my favorite part of Megalodon was they actually had this Roomba going around in the observation center that they had, and they put a shark fin on it. That was probably, like, the best part of the movie. Like, hands down, that was the best part. And then what I thought was also funny was that in the Megalodon, the little Yorkie that you see, like, you ever saw the ads on, like, Facebook or Instagram or any of them, like any of the trailers, and you see that little Yorkie, like, jump off the yacht, and she's, like, swimming away, and then she sees a shark, and she's like, nope, and just nopes right on back to the boat. The dog's name was actually Pippin, which I am pretty sure was a nod to, rest in peace, little boy, Pippin, from the first one. So for Jaws, honestly, even now, the quality still holds up because the way that they made it was just incredible. Like, you watch it, for 1975, it's insane, the graphics that they had. The mechanical shark that they had 3 different sharks. And it was just incredible, honestly, to me, that they were able to do that. And I remember actually, it was probably like 3 years ago, I went to Indiana to go visit my grandparents and my brother, and my brother's my half-brother, and so his sister came, and so we were visiting at the same time, and it was 4th of July, I remember, because AMC always does a Jaws marathon, and so we were watching Jaws because it's a 4th of July movie, and I'll get into that here in a second. But we were halfway through the movie. I think we were at the part, well, no, I think we were actually towards the end. We were right where Quint was getting ate. And his sister Talia looks and goes, this is actually a pretty good movie for a 90s movie. And we kind of looked at her, and I was like, Talia, I think I said this last week, I was like, Talia, this was made in 1975. But, I mean, that's actually pretty good that you think it was in the 90s, because that just means that it's still hold its, for, if you thought it was made in the 90s, for it to be made 20 years earlier is pretty incredible, because you wouldn't expect something of this quality to come out from 1975. You would expect something like The Ending of Grease, where you ride off in a car. That was just terrible graphics. That's why I'm not going to talk about Grease in my segments. Anyways, So Jaws was actually set during the 4th of July. It was early July. What it is the reason why it's such a 4th of July movie is because they talk about it. The mayor, he's like, we got 4th of July coming up. We can't have a panic on our hands, you know. You can't be acting like there's a shark out there. And Chief Brody's like, well, there is a shark out there. I'm trying to keep people safe. And he's like, but this is going to bring our tourist count down. We're going to lose a lot of money. And he's like, I don't really care if we lose a lot of money. I'm more focused on the people, but I'm glad you got your priorities straight on the money. So that's it's a great way. You know, I'm definitely going to vote for you next election. So what was also really incredible about this movie is that Steven Spielberg came up with a lot of different camera tricks. I remember when they came out with the 40th anniversary of the movie, they had documentaries on how he did it. And in the beginning, you see the camera going in through a crowd of people in the water. You know, they're swimming, they're kicking, they're doing everything. And what they did was they put the camera in this box, and they screwed it super, super tight so it was like waterproof. And they went around underneath, and they swam around. And that's what gave it the illusion of that you are the shark. You know, that's what it was the entire time. Whenever this scene would come up of someone about to get killed by this shark, for my mom and dad, I'll say murked, they would move the camera as if you were the shark and you were about to take this person down, which is incredible. And then you see it from another point of view of that you're a beachgoer and you see this going down, and it's insane. So obviously what I do is I always talk about trivia about this movie. And Robert Shaw, who played Quint, and Richard Dreyfuss, who played Hooper, they actually didn't like each other. So that really helped out on set because the two characters did not like each other at all on camera. So that set really well with the tension. And you have, that's honestly probably like one of the best parts in the movie is just the bickering between those two. It's just the absolute best. And you have, so the most famous line from this movie, "You're gonna need a bigger boat," was actually ad-libbed by Roy Scheider, who played Chief Brody. I think some people, there's been like a misquote or something like that. I'm trying to remember. They usually misquote it sometimes, and they always have those little like articles, like quotes you may be saying wrong, and I think this was one of them. But I don't remember. So the first scene that I was talking about with that teenage girl, her name's Chrissy, which I didn't even know that. So when that deputy's blowing his whistle, what they did, when they run over and you see her arm there in the sand, the prosthetic arm that they had didn't look real enough in the sand, so they took a female crew member and just buried her under there and just left her arm out. And then another thing they did was to get the crabs to like walk the way they did, they just went over and poured hot coffee on them. So I'm going to guess that was probably before we had the no animals were harmed in the making of, because those animals were definitely harmed in the making of. But they were moving really slow, because I remember I actually watched this while I was doing the trivia on it to get a little bit of a remembrance, even though I practically remember the whole movie. I don't know. It's just a great movie to watch. So they move like really super slow, and you know, crabs, if you've ever been on the beach or something, you know, you see them, they move quick. So the shark, they actually had a shark. I was trying not to refer it as his name to like not give away the trivia. The shark had a name. His name was Bruce, and Steven Spielberg actually named him Bruce after his lawyer. Not the shark's lawyer, Steven Spielberg's lawyer. So every time I have like something shark related, like my mom got me this inflatable shark that you can ride in the pool, and his name is Bruce. Which was also another nod too in Finding Nemo. The great white shark's name is Bruce. So that might have been a nod to Jaws. It might not have. Who knows? It's still a good name for a shark. And like I said before, too, they had 3 sharks. Each one costed $250,000. The first one had the right side open. Second one had the left side open. And then one was fully skinned. Richard Shaw, who played Quint, actually had a drinking problem. And during filming, they were on the boat. And he looks at everybody and he goes, "I wish I could quit drinking." And Richard Dreyfuss, who played Hooper, took a shot glass and just chucked it in the ocean. And so everybody was just like in shock that he did this. And they actually, what Richard said, what Richard Dreyfuss. Oh man, they're both Richard. I didn't realize that. Okay, so what Hooper did was he and Quint, like, if they were near people, Richard Shaw was just like a jerk. Is it Richard Shaw or is it Robert Shaw? I think it's Robert. Why? Yeah, it is Robert. Why did I write Richard? Wow. Okay. So Robert would dare Richard to do stunts. Like one time he dared him. He said, I'll give you $1,000 if you jump off the mast into the ocean. And Spielberg was like, guys, I know it's for $1,000, but please don't do that. Because if you jump off, I'm just going to replace you. And so Richard was like, oh, well, I almost had $1,000. And so with the shark, I love this shark. What they did was they didn't like it so much because it has so many technical difficulties because you're putting this massive operating machine in water. So it had a lot of, what do you call it? Just technical difficulties, I'll just call that. And one instance was Steven Spielberg took Martin Scorsese, George Lucas, and John Milius, and they visited the effects shop where Bruce was being made. So George Lucas, is wondering how it works. So he sticks his head in the shark, which, I mean, come on, man. You go in there with your friends, and you think that they're not going to clamp the shark jaw on you. That is probably, you probably should get some new friends or just not have any friends because you should know that they will do that. I know that if I took my friends anywhere on set with me and there was a mechanical shark and someone put their head in it, you know you're going to clamp the jaw down. Come on. So they clamped the jaw down on George Lucas, but then it got stuck. So I think they said he was stuck in there for 3 hours until they actually got him. And they ran out because they were so afraid that they actually damaged the shark, which, unbeknownst to them, Bruce was already damaged, but he's all good. I can't remember which one it was they found. I think it was the fully skinned one. But they found him in a junkyard. I want to say that was 2010, 2011. They have one of the sharks actually on the Universal Tours show, the ride. When you're actually on a little boat and they actually have one of the original sharks jumping out at you on the ride, which I just want to go to Universal just for that. So after they got Bruce, built, they put him in the water, but they hadn't tested him in salt water. They had just put him in a tank in the Universal water tank. So what they did was as soon as they put him in, the whole movie was filmed in Martha's Vineyard, and this was the very first movie that was actually filmed in Martha's Vineyard. And so when they put him in there, he sank. And it took him I think it took him a couple of days. They had a team of divers go down there to retrieve him, and it took a couple of days because this is a heavy shark. So, it stated that I didn't know. It wasn't until I actually got a reprint of the original movie poster that I realized that the movie was actually based on a book. I didn't know that. And then as I was reading the trivia, it was talking more about how Peter Benchley was on set with them. And I think they said he got kicked off. I forget what scene it was he got kicked off the set for. And what was crazy too is that most of the movie was actually shot on handheld cameras. And what they did was they filmed about a mile out on the sea so that you couldn't see any land. So it made it look like you were actually in the middle of the sea. So they always had the cameras turned a certain way because if you actually looked, you could see the land and you could see the whole town. So they had to move it a certain way. And the whole entire cast and crew got seasick, which I don't blame them. Especially, just watching it just brings me back to when I was on a cruise ship. Just seeing it rock like that, I can't do it. Honestly, if I ever get into acting and I actually have to do it on the ocean, I will probably down a lot of Dramamine. Robert Duvall, who was in the last segment as Tom Hagen in the Godfather series, he actually encouraged Steven Spielberg to make the movie. So Spielberg was like, hey, then, why don't you take the role of Chief Brody? And Duvall was like, no, I don't want to do that. It might make me too famous. Might make you too famous. I can't get over that. Might make him too famous. I just can't get over that. Like, bro, you're getting more money thrown at you. I don't really see a downside to that. Especially as a student, I'm just like, give me all that money. But Duvall wanted to play Quint, but Steven Spielberg was like, no, you're too young for that. The shark, so the scene that I was telling you about when they caught not the right shark, it was the tiger shark. He was actually a real shark. It was caught down in Florida. And so they're like, hey, that's our shark, send it on up. So they shipped it to him. But in the time, it takes a couple days for them to ship that shark up there. Probably, depending on how they shipped it, which was either by train or car. I doubt they would have flown it in. Maybe they did. I don't know. Either way, by the time that it was on its way there, it already started to decompose. So it smelled terrible on the set. So I don't blame when you see the scene of Matt Hooper cutting the shark open why he's like, he was probably legit about to gag. I didn't read any trivia on that scene, and I'm actually kind of curious to know if he did. I actually want to ask Richard Dreyfuss, like, did you like have to retake the scene over and over again when you were cutting the shark open, or, what did you have to do there? Oh yeah, this. I was trying to remember because I was reading what I wrote, and it didn't make any sense until I got done reading it. So the movie developed their own shot that's actually used by movie teachers today, film teachers. So the scene where Alex Kinter is getting ate, and you see just the float going up and him like trying to get away from the shark, you see the camera zoom in like right on Chief Brody. It takes everything out of the background and just goes right to him. That was actually known as a forward tracking, which is a zoom out shot, and is known now as, so it's not known as a forward tracking. It's a forward tracking zoom out shot, which is known as the Jaws shot. What's crazy too is the movie opened, it was June 1975. And it opened on only 409 screens. And 78 days after, it was actually the highest grossing film of all time, having only been shown and still being shown to less than 1,000 screens, which is insane. It's like I think I have it in here later on, how much it made. It made a lot. I could look it up later, actually, to tell you guys. So what they had was the ending of the movie. So when the shark blows up, like I was telling you guys about when he had the air tank, Mythbusters was like, that's unrealistic. If they had a more realistic ending would be if they only had, a more realistic ending would be if they had the head blown off instead of the entire body. But the head was blown off because if you watch it, you can see him like start to go down. Like as Bruce is like going down into the water, you can see his the shark bone, the supposed shark bone sticking out, and he's just like floating on down. So his head was blown off. It wasn't his entire body. So take that, Mythbusters. What are you gonna do now? Apparently you didn't see the movie all the way through, or just weren't paying attention. You were like, oh, he blew the shark up, because you saw the chunks. You saw like the whole water just go up, but that doesn't mean the whole shark blew up. Bruce didn't blow all the way up. So apparently you guys weren't watching the movie all the way, or else you would have seen his whole body going down and not his head. Because we wouldn't have gotten the scene of Bruce going down if his whole body was blown off. We wouldn't have got that. We would have just got a bunch of chunks in the water. But no, it was his head. Come on. So Jaws 2 is another one. I think it's set during July 4th as well. Let's do a little more research here. So, what did I just do? Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with Safari. There it is. Okay. So we're going to do a little trivia because I ran out in 30 minutes. I talk really fast, so I end up messing myself up. But I I'm pretty sure it's still on Amazon Prime. If you guys have Amazon Prime or you steal it from your parents or whatever, you can watch it on there. And what's actually really cool too, if you guys didn't know, they have a student Prime that you can have. You have 6 months free of student Prime, and then you'll have to pay half. So I know the Amazon Prime subscription went up. I think it was like $20, but it only went up 10 for Amazon students because it was $50, and now it's like 60, I think. So all around it's actually really good. But either way, you get 6 months free instead of a month free if you were to just sign up with a random account. So they do. Obviously, they're going to ask for like a statement of your like tuition and everything. They're going to ask for that. Sometimes you can upload it. I had to actually email them one time because it wasn't acting right. But you can watch it. They have a ton of really good movies on there. And they have the first 4 seasons of SpongeBob, so you can't go wrong. So I don't care about the Nutcracker. Okay, so Jaws 2, it's essentially got the exact same poster. It's just Bruce is actually out of the water and you have the water skier. But yeah, it's like another shark comes up. It's like Bruce's son or something, and he's just like, I will avenge my father. And he comes back. Oh, and Peter Benchley actually worked on this one too. Okay. Wait, did he... So they have on here, they have the writers for it, and it says Peter Benchley, who was the author. But it says based upon characters created by. So I wonder if he just was pushed out of this or what. But I like Jaws 2. Jaws 3, I don't think I ever watched that. I think I watched Jaws 4. It was the 80s one. The late 80s. And I just remember watching it when I was a kid. And it was so stupid. Oh my God, it was so stupid. They're sitting there in the little observatory tank in the water. You know how marine biology, whatever they do. They're in there and they're screaming. They're like, oh my God, he's coming towards the window. And it's like a sticker coming at him of a great white shark. And I'm just like, I was probably 8 or 9. And I was like, really? Really? You're going to get afraid of this? This is terrible. I think I probably saw those 5 minutes and I was just done with it. I was like, I can't do this. This is just so stupid. So this is the cast. So Jaws 2 takes place 4 years after Jaws, the first one. I always get Amity Island and Amityville confused, which I wish they hadn't done that because I actually think it was it 1979 the Amityville Horror came out? Oh yeah, so then they would have known. Yeah, I was going to say they should have changed the name, but they wouldn't have known because they came out with Amity before Amityville Horror, even though it had happened earlier in the 70s. Either way, it's completely different than Amityville Horror. So I think. It could be the same. Could be in the same universe. But it's like, I don't know. It was shark. So it wasn't too bad. I liked it. This one got, so Jaws 2, the budget was about $20 million, and they grossed about $102 million. Opening week, okay, so they opened June 18th, 1978. Okay, so it was released 3 years, but it's 4 years in the future after Jaws, after Bruce, the first one. So opening weekend, they got about $9 million. Worldwide, they got $106 million, which that's not too bad. The runtime on this one, it's about 116 minutes. That's almost 2 hours. You got about 1 hour and 56 minutes. And then if it's on TV, it's 131. Why is it less? Oh, no, it's more. Wow. I'm in college. I should know this by now. Okay, so it's more because, obviously, commercials. So let's see what the trivia was on this, because I actually didn't read this a lot. So the 2 dogs that were actually used in the first Jaws were Steven Spielberg's dogs. That's not a trivia in this one. It's just I remembered seeing that. I'm sorry if I'm really quiet. I'm just reading. I should have done Jaws 2, but I wasn't expecting to go through 30 minutes worth, 15 bullet points. I should have known. to probably make more. So they actually did, they shot this at Martha's Vineyard again. They had to do reshoots in the fall of 1977. So, okay, so because they went to go do reshoots, the trees had already started to lose the leaves, like the ones are on campus right now. So they had to put fake leaves on the trees to make it look like it was still summer, which, I mean, they probably could have just gone during the summer, or they could have waited until spring. Maybe that's just me. They actually paid extras. I think it was like $3 an hour. Oh, wow. Okay. So Jaws 2 was, for a moment, the highest grossing sequel in history until Rocky 2 came out the next year. And of course, Rocky's obviously going to beat a killing shark. Because we already got the killing shark and we killed him. And then we got a second killing shark. But then we got Rocky. Like, Rocky takes the cake. You cannot beat Rocky. So Roy Scheider actually didn't like the role that he had in the second one. He told he pled insanity and actually went crazy in his Beverly Hills hotel, which I could maybe see that. You're out on the water so much. I mean, you were out on the water so much in the first one, and now you got to go out and do it again. Like, I don't even know why he would have signed up for it. That just sounds like torture. John Williams, if many of you did not know, actually did the score for the movies. Yes. Jeffrey Voorhees. See, I didn't realize that's an actual last name. And if you have your last name as Voorhees and you don't name your son Jason, you're just like, I don't even want to talk to you. You just ruined it. Okay, so the kid who played Alex Kenter, Jeffrey Voorhees is his name. He better have a son named Jason, or I will find him. He actually played the second victim in the first, what does that say? Who played Alex Kenter in the second victim of the shark in the first film? Okay, so he wanted to be an extra in the second one, but the producers were like, no, they'll probably recognize you, so just don't even worry about it. But it's 3 years later, after the first one, they did it was, what they say it was production, so it was 2 years later. But even then, I mean, watching Jaws 2, I don't know if it's the same kids that played Chief Brody's kids, but I didn't even recognize them. They look different. Okay, so it's set in New England. That's where it is. Okay, yeah. So it's Amity Island, New England. And Chief Brody and them were from New York. Because I remember he said something about take the boys home. And she was like, his wife was like, oh, back to New York. He was like, just take the kids home. Another thing about the first one I remember too, when I was watching the documentary on the 40th anniversary of the first one, they had said that, I think it was the kid, Jeffrey Voorhees, played Alex Kenter. I'm just going to keep saying his name because I like that. He actually said that he was, whenever he had to go under, they had to do a bunch of different takes. And so every single time he went under, there was a diver that was down there, and he would give him part of his air mask, and then he'd have him pop back up, and they'd give him part of his air mask again and pop right back up. So when the raft is, gone, and they have that scene out there, where it's just nothing but the ocean and the raft, he actually had to stay underwater, so he had to give him some of the air mask that he had until they cut the scene. There's really just not a whole lot of interesting facts on this. It's probably because it's not that important. Oh man, this is something I would do if I worked on it. The camera operator used a cowboy saddle to get on top of the shark in a few scenes. That's pretty amazing. See, I want that job. Where's that job? You get to work in shark movies and just ride the shark like a horse. You just hold on to his little dorsal fin and you just go for a ride. See, now I just want to change my major just to do that. Just What do you want to be? I want to be a shark rider. Yeah, there's like nothing interesting on here about the second one. It's not even, I don't blame them. It's not even that fun. But, because I got done so fast, I don't even know, why do I do this to myself? I won't do this next week, because next week I'm talking about Queen. And if I really wanted to, I would talk about Queen for the rest of the semester, the next 5 radio shows that I have. I would talk about Queen the entire hour. I legit would. And I will next week. You get to hear that. Especially my parents, since they didn't hear it enough. They've been hearing it for what now? 9 years? Yeah. Can't get enough. No. So, this movie is honestly, it's so long. It's about, I want to say it's about 2 hours. Even when I watch it all the way through, I still forget some of the parts. And even then, when I watch it now, too, and I'll watch it, I forget how long it is, and I'll actually forget scenes. So I remember I was sitting there, and I was like, when did they set the shark cage up? I don't remember them doing that. So there's like little bits and pieces that I don't really remember them doing. It's honestly a really long movie. Usually whenever I see it's on, I'm like halfway. The part that I usually get to is, try to think. It's probably like right when the 2 kids are like playing the prank on the shark, when they're like teaming up with the shark. And then it's either that or it's right when they're on the boat already and they're sharing stories about their scars. And they said, in the scene too, when you have the boat that's out there, you see a shooting star. It was actually a fake shooting star that they made. They had, when they were comparing scars, Roy Scheider's, not Hooper, Chief Brody, he had talked about how there was a scar on him. He lifted his shirt up and showed, and he was like, that's from an appendix. And it was actually his actual scar. It wasn't a fake one. The rest of them were all fake. I'm pretty sure of it. That's what it said in the trivia. 42 minutes. So I got 18 and a half minutes. And I don't want to use that to talk about Queen, because then what am I going to talk about next week? I'm actually, because what was it? I ran out of material in like 35 minutes. That's not too bad. This is ridiculous. See, I love talking, but I hate it at the same time because I can't talk. I'm glad I can turn these microphones down so you guys don't have to listen to me drink my water. But Jaws is, honestly, it's a movie that you could watch year-round. It's especially good to watch on AMC. So during summer break, if you guys are home or if you're taking summer classes out here, and I think the school actually has, with the cable that they give us, I think we have AMC. I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me on that. I think I tried to look up, I think I told you guys about that too. I tried to look up on AMC to see if they had The Godfather in chronological order, and I couldn't find it. I just found a bunch of different articles about it. But you don't have to watch Jaws in chronological order because it's already in chronological order. So you can watch 1 and 2. Don't waste your time with 3 and 4. Like I said with Godfather, just don't do it, because it's just going to kill a whole bunch of brain cells if you watch 3 and 4, especially 4 with the sticker shark. Because that was just the absolute worst shark. Like, all these B-movie shark movies were more scary than the sticker shark. And those were terrible movies. They'll always, especially during Shark Week, they're always going to play Jaws, because Jaws is the best shark movie. You can't get any better than that. And that's the thing with a lot of these people that are making shark movies, is they try to top Jaws, and you can't do it, because Jaws was the first one. And for it being the first shark movie that we really got was incredible, especially, like I was saying, for 1975, the graphics are just insane how they did it. So there's no way that you can top this movie, because the story's great, The graphics are great. The acting is phenomenal. They did an amazing job on this movie, and it's a classic. I can't say it anymore. It's an absolute classic. So during 4th of July weekend, you're at home, you don't want to watch anything, you can't find anything to watch on TV. Jaws is always going to be on. It's always going to be on. 99% of the time, Jaws is always on one of the regular movie channels like HBO, Star, Showtime. It's always on, especially during Shark Week. So 4th of July and Shark Week are your two best bets. If you've never seen Jaws, those are your two greatest times to go see it. Or you can go out and buy it, which I think it would probably cost you like $5, if that. What I was really disappointed with this, the only thing that really disappointed me with this movie was I bought this, it was an anniversary edition, and it was supposed to have deleted scenes and bloopers. And I got it, and I was so excited. And I was watching it, and as I'm watching it, there were 2 bloopers and 1 deleted scene, and it just ended. It brought me back to the main menu. And I was like, are you for real right now? I paid $15 for this movie for 3 scenes that I probably could have looked up on YouTube that you guys didn't have anywhere else. I had to get this for $15 for you to waste my time with this. That was the most disappointing purchase. Well, no. I've had a lot of disappointing purchases. That was one of them. But I currently don't have it because it's at my boyfriend's house. And he's not going to give it back. He's got like 3 of my movies and he won't give them back. Anyway. So you have... Yeah, Jaws 2. I mean, Jaws 2's all right. If you wanted to, you could. I won't encourage you to. Just if, I saw Jaws 1, I might as well see Jaws 2. Go for it. Just don't bother with the other 2. It's just terrible. Like, it was legit. When I thought there were actually more Jaws, especially when you watch Back to the Future Part 2, and you see, was it like Jaws 15 or something like that? I honestly couldn't even keep up with how many sequels. So when they said they had four Jaws, I'm pretty sure of it. Let's look it up right now. I think there's 4 Jaws because there's 4 of them on Amazon Prime. But like I said, definitely watch it on Amazon Prime. I'm pretty sure it's still on there. If it weren't almost 10 o'clock at night and a 2-hour-long movie, I would watch it now. But I can watch it tomorrow when I'm doing homework and laundry. So let's look at it. How many Jaws? Let's spell how correctly. Here we go. Yeah, there's 4 Jaws movies. You have Jaws, Jaws 2, Jaws 3D, and Jaws the Revenge. So I guess Jaws 2 wasn't Jaws the Revenge. So I guess, what's this one of? Oh, when did he die? Did he die in the 3rd one? I guess Chief Brody died. I mean, he died in real life, but like in the movie series. Because it says on here Jaws Revenge, which is the 4th one. The family of widow Ellen Brody, who was Chief Brody's widow. Yeah, that was Chief Brody's wife. Oh, her son was in this one. The shark just looks terrible in this. I'm looking at the images. I swear it was this one. Unless it was Jaws 3D. If it was Jaws 3D, then definitely don't watch that one. Jaws the Revenge. What is this? He's like, your dad killed my 3 lineages. My dad, my grandpa, and my great-grandpa. So now I'm going to kill you. This Jaws just looks terrible. It looks like one of those little rubber sharks you used to get at like Walmart when you were a kid. You know what I'm talking about? The little bead ones. Looks like that. He's just stiff. He doesn't move. Like he's like jumping out of the air. It just looks stupid. But to go off of like Megalodon, it was actually not too bad. I actually really liked it. I'm not even going to lie. Let's see what Jaws was 3D. So Jaws 3D was about... What? A young great white shark finds its way into a sea-themed park. Is that a joke? That has to be a joke. Oh, no, this is the sticker one. Okay, so it wasn't Jaws the Revenge. It's Jaws 3D. Oh, my God, I'm watching it right now. This is hilarious. Yep, it was Jaws 3D. I can't... So you guys got to look up If you're doing it right now, look up Jaws 3D and you go in the images. It's just the worst. It looks like it would be a video of a jaw, like a shark swimming, and they just like photoshopped it into there. And you would think that you would see it move, but it doesn't move. When it's going towards the tank, it's literally just a stiff shark just going forward. He's not moving his body whatsoever. I'm just like, do you honestly expect me to believe this? So it looks like Jaws 4 is actually better than Jaws 3D, and that's sad. Because Jaws 3D, what it looks like, it's just a sticker. Like, you couldn't move. You literally could not take the actual animatronic and actually have it move. Like, have the actual body movements and everything. Because you even did that in Jaws 1 and 2. You actually had him move like a shark. But you're going to give me this crap where he's just floating towards the tank. You have wasted my money. You wasted my time when I saw this. Like, this is just terrible. It was half done. That's probably why I procrastinate and get things half done, is because this was just burned in my memory. And I was like, I have to be like this shark and the creators of this movie and not do anything. Just terrible. How do you do that? I don't know how you could. It's like when you get out, it's like when you park terribly and you look and you see that you're like parked over the lines. This is how it is. You just look at it and you're just like, yeah, it looks good enough, and you just walk away. This is just terrible. I want to know who the editors were that did this, because this is a monstrosity. This is a straight abomination. I can't. And what is this? Oh my God. I'm looking at the pictures and I just can't do it right now. This is just so stupid. It's just making me mad. The more I look at it, the more mad I get. So I just need to stop looking at it. He got 3.6 stars out of 10 on IMDb. And Jaws the Revenge got 2.9. What did Jaws 2 get? Jaws 2 got 5.7 out of 10. And the original Jaws... sorry, I gotta chill. Original Jaws has an 8 out of 10. So it's what, like a 4.5 out of 5? Because Jaws is the best. Oh, see, look. See, if you have the Sundance Channel, it's going to be on Sunday at 11 p.m. at 8 p.m. And then it's going to be on at Monday at 5 p.m. But that's when the pineapple thing is going on. No, the paint and sip pineapple thing is from like 11 to 3, I think. So you can rent it on Vudu. It says from $2.99. You can rent it on YouTube. Does anybody even use YouTube anymore? Because I feel like Spotify is just like taking them out. I don't remember the last time I used YouTube. And iTunes. You got Amazon Prime, you can rent it for $3.99, which why would you rent it when you can watch it for free like right now? So and you have Google Play for $3.99. So the cheapest option looks like Vudu, but Vudu always lies, because as soon as you go on there to see what it's rented, it's like $2 more. And I'm just like, no, Vudu, I will not do it. So, getting back to some of the trivia, I just saw it on here. The emissions. So Jaws had 128 million estimated admissions for 1975. They have the reviews somewhere. You could probably just look it up. It's really interesting, honestly. If you're really into movies like I am, and you want to be a film major, Jaws is, and if I think they have a class here. I don't know if they do. I don't know if they still. I saw it online, but I don't know if they actually have it. It's the movies of Steven Spielberg, and if you ever have to write or an essay or anything on Jaws, I would definitely look up the 40th anniversary, the documentaries, because those gave a lot of information, a lot of things that I didn't know. Like the one that really stuck with me was the one about the camera inside in the box that they were going around, swimming around people to make it look like you were the shark. So I managed to kill time for 12 more minutes talking about the sticker shark. So I'm actually going tomorrow before I have to go to work. I'm going to get some laundry done, get a little bit of homework done, and then I'm going to go see the new Queen movie that premieres tomorrow. I'm going at 1 o'clock, which that gives me... So it's supposed to be a 2-hour and 15-minute movie. And I'm scared. I'm not even going to lie. So I wish I could have saw it today and talked about this today, talked about that movie today, and Jaws next week. But you guys are definitely going to... I have to hold it in for a week to tell other people about it, to not rant on social media about how this movie was. Maybe it'll surprise me. Maybe it'll be good. That's what I don't know, you know? There's no telling how this movie is going to be. From just a little time, so there's only 2 things that I saw wrong with the movie, and it was just a timeline flaw. That's all that really bothered me right now. But reading the reviews of some of these people who are massive Queen fans, just like me, and seeing what they're saying about the film is what's scaring me, because I am terrified that they are thinking the exact same thing that I was afraid of. So, you guys get to hear me rant about that next week. And I will not run out in 30 minutes, because this is probably going to be like an hour and a half rant at the least. And I have to cut it off at a certain time, because I don't think my professor wants to hear me rant for an hour and a half about Queen. Maybe he does. I don't know. He's a Van Halen fan, so maybe he will. I mean, he talks about it in class. Anyway, so getting back to that, I'm going to talk about the Queen movie. Comes out tomorrow. If you guys want to, you can go see it. I'll let you know definitely by next week if you should waste your money on it or not. I'm really hoping it's not as bad as I think it's going to be. It's worrying me a lot. And if it were up to me, I would probably write another one. And I really wish what they had done was had John Deacon, who was their bassist, collaborate in the movie, because it was just Roger Taylor and Brian May. And Brian May is a guitarist, Roger Taylor is a drummer. And what I fear with this is that even though they were there on the set, those 2 little flaws that I saw in the trailers worry me. Because it's like, you guys know that was not when it was done. So I don't know why you went ahead and decided that it was okay to do that. And that's the other thing that worries me too, is that if I did a little more research on Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, then maybe there were a couple things. I probably wouldn't even like the movie Jersey Boys anymore if I read up more about what had actually happened, because just because Frankie Valli and Bob Gaudio were there and the producers of the Broadway musical and the movie doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to like it, because you still have 2 other people who didn't collaborate. One of them because they're dead. The second one because he's just not in music anymore, Tommy DeVito. And then you have, with Queen, it's the same thing. One's dead and one's retired. So it worries me to see that you had these 2 people who lived it, who lived in Queen, who were the makers of Queen, and you get something wrong. How do you do that? I can't. So I'm eating my popcorn. I'm going to drink my Coke. I'm going to watch the movie. If I walk out, I walk out. I'm going to try and brave it and watch the whole movie. But if it gets so bad that I walk out, I'm going to walk out. And I'm nervous that it's going to make me walk out, because I don't want to walk out. I want to watch this movie because I have been waiting for years for this movie, and I wish they had stuck with Sacha Baron Cohen. See, I'm about to go on a whole other hour about Queen, and I can't do that because I've got a minute and 10 seconds. I can't do it. I just can't. I got to save it for next week. I will be ranting later on to some people, and then they can hear it again on my radio show. But I'm nervous about this movie. I'm not nervous about Jaws, because it already happened and hasn't disappointed me yet at all. But yeah, anyways, you guys got Amazon Prime, you have AMC, you have any cable channels, you ever see Jaws, watch it. And if you get to the middle of it, it's already started the show, look for the other showings and watch it. Or just go on Amazon Prime and just watch it. Just sign up for those 6 free months, cancel it after the 6 free months, watch Jaws, watch a ton of other ones. You can watch SpongeBob. You can watch SpongeBob for 6 months, the first 4 seasons. How does that not sound great? So, I'm going to sign off here. I will see you guys next week. I won't see you. I'll talk to you guys next week about how this Queen movie is going to go, and we'll take it from there. So peace out, my dudes, and take it easy.